Hey everyone, Andrew Esquire here, Legal Mindset, and you guys asked for it, you guys want it after popular demand. We're gonna be talking to you about building a wardrobe, building a men's wardrobe, specifically my suiting. You love it, and you love it thanks to this man. This is Christian of Jaxson Maximus. So he's gonna get into it and talk all about building a men's wardrobe.
For sure. So a little bit about background of Jaxson Maximus and myself, so your viewers know as well. I'm 31 plus years specifically in the custom apparel space for men and for women. And so my professional background has been mostly in the C-suite, and then I finally started my own brand down here in Miami called Jaxson Maximus, which Andrew is one of my great clients and friends as well. And so I always love whenever he comes in to get new styles and discuss things. We have a lot of fun, and as part of the creative process.
And the great thing, and I'll just speak about Jaxson Maximus real quick so you guys know, and you should try to find a place. You know, I know you guys are all over the world, you're all over in different cities, but here at Jaxson Maximus is where I get my haircut, it's where I get my suits, it's where I get my athletic, my leisure clothing, right? They've got tons of other products. I'm looking at a travel bag that seems like it's really amazing, and we're gonna get that done quickly. So if you can find a place like Jaxson Maximus near you that can handle kind of all of those needs, that's something that's super efficient. It handles all of those things in one place, and also gets people who know your style, right? They know your haircut, they know what you like. So when I come in and I work with Christian, he knows my style, he knows what I like, he knows what I'm looking for. And when you can develop those relationships, that's gonna pay dividends, not just with your haircut, but also with your wardrobe and how people perceive you, because you're trying to give off an image, you're trying to be consistent. And a good expert who's trained, who has that background, like Christian, some might call him the GOAT, but who has that background is going to really help you up your wardrobe game.
Yeah, and just to ditto on that. So regardless of where you're at in the city, there are people like me that have that experience that will be a really good guide and mentor for you, because whatever you do for a profession, chances are you're not in the clothing business, right? And so it's just like myself, if I need an attorney or an accountant, I'm going to seek those people. I'm not going to try and do that on my own. I seek out really good advice and professional help. And there are people like that in the different cities that you are. So that's the best advice I can give you, is to work with a professional clothier that really does understand fit, understands quality, can give you good guidance, understands your budget, your coloring. Like, I'm trained in color, for example, and so they're going to help you not make mistakes and spend your money very wisely. Today, I think we're mostly talking about building a basic wardrobe.
Basic wardrobe. So, that's one of the first questions I came in when I got my first custom suit. What I kind of asked was, okay, let's go with the utility suits, right? Let's build the foundational blocks that you can build upon, right? That I can add, for example, different vests to, maybe different ties. I can mix and match, right? I can maybe start with the jacket and then put it with a pair of pants or a pair of dark wash jeans, or kind of use it to go out. Very flexible wardrobe. So I think what I'm going to suggest, what we're going to talk about today, is stuff that is going to get you the most versatility.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. So think of it like this: when you're building a house, a wardrobe is no different. And to give you, as a matter of fact, I got this question a lot. Interestingly enough, when I lived in Houston, and we lived through one of the worst hurricanes there, so Harvey. And it was interesting because most of the houses don't have basements. A lot of the first floor bedrooms got flooded, and it turned insurance. So people were without entire wardrobes. So I got this question a ton in a short, very period of time from professional people that had to rebuild their entire wardrobe, right? And my advice is always the same: is just like you said, you want to start with those cornerstone basics. Just like when you're building a house, you're going to build the pillars of the house, right? And the rebar, and there's certain what we call cornerstones that are going to lend themselves to what you do, no matter what you do as a professional, whether you're an attorney or whether you're in sales or what have you. So let's talk about what those are. The very first one I would tell you would be a good navy solid. Okay, so a navy solid can come in different colors, from midnight navy to what they call true blue, or just classic navy. But if you think about this, when the president speaks, it doesn't matter who the president is: Obama, Carter, Ford, President Kennedy, Reagan,
even Trump.
Okay, whoever that. What do they address the nation? a navy suit, right? There's a reason why, is because that color, navy, connotes what? What do you think of when you think of the color?
Power, right?
That's
power suit,
it's your
right?
power suit, exactly. When you want to get the point across, when you want the odds in your favor, when you want to look your most formal and at your best, you're going to be in a navy suit. That's why it's always considered the cornerstone. If you're interviewing for a position, regardless of what the profession is, the first interview should be in a very classic, beautifully designed navy solid suit. So navy is one of those universal suits for sure that to me, you should probably, whatever your budget is, spend the most of what you have on that particular suit because it's the most versatile. It goes with every shoe color, black, navy, oxblood, burgundy. You could almost get dressed at night throw a dart in your closet. It's going to go with a navy suit. So it's super versatile, right? The second suit in your wardrobe would be a good gray. Now, gray can come in dark charcoal.
Right.
It can come in medium gray, and it can come in light gray. Arguably, when you build out your wardrobe in a solid, you should have all three of those shades.
Right.
But the first one to start with is a nice medium gray because it's seasonless in the color. Light gray can tend to look a little bit more spring-summer. If you lived in New York or Cleveland, Ohio, wearing that, for example, a very light gray suit in January when there's 10 feet of snow outside is not the best pick, right? In Miami, where we're at, it's not a problem, right?
Yeah.
So it does depend on your climate a little bit. But gray, what do you think of when you think of a gentleman just in a nice, really dapper, beautiful gray suit? Like what adjective?
I think it's just very clean cut. I think it's, very, once again, it's very non-offensive, right? It's not something that, it's very an agreeable person, someone I can make a deal with, someone I can, shake their hand, do business with. So I think, when I see gray suit, I think they're here to do business, right? I think a professional.
Yeah, perfect answer. So I'll tell you a little story. When I started the business, I've been doing this for 31 years, okay? I had a very young face. I had a great mentor in the business. His name was Ash Deshmukh. And he took me aside, maybe my first couple of weeks in the business. He said, Christian, you look very young. And at that time, I was selling custom garments to executives in their office. I was going out to see that client. And he said, you know what, your first suit should be gray. And he said, the reason why is gray has the look of experience, kind of like what you said. It says it'll make you look like you've been in the end zone before, right? And so it's most professional clothers will tell you it has the look of confidence. And the great thing about gray, as far as the color side goes, is it looks good on whether you're a cool, a neutral, or a warm, which we could talk a little bit about as well, is it's a very neutral color. And so it, again, goes with any shoe color, black, burgundy, brown. And any of those shades look very nice in any shirt color. So when you think about your travel and your other things you have to do for business, having a great power navy and a good confidence gray, those two suits are like your power horse suits because you could just take those and do a 3-4 day road trip, alternate different shirts and ties, get different looks with them, and they're going to serve you very well.
So what you're saying there real quickly is that, if you're starting with and you just want to pick two suits, and that's it, you say, hey, I'm just going to commit to two, a navy and a darker gray, right, would be a great choice. Medium gray would be a great choice for you, just a versatile choice. And if you're traveling, right, you can only bring two suits, those would be the ones you'd bring.
For sure. The other side of that too, let's say that, you want to be Instagram famous. You really like this navy window pane, right? But just think of it like this, and it's your first suit. Well, it might be the coolest suit in the world, granted, but every time someone sees you, if that pattern's really amped up, they're going to go, there's the suit again. Right. And so if, which is fine, but that's where the choice of having a solid, like in a navy or gray, you can get different looks. And people aren't going to remember you for that suit, which they might do in that really bold, beautiful window pane that you like. Right. They're just going to remember that you look great. And so that's the idea behind it.
And is that a little bit of shifting the focus from the suit to you, right? Because there's a little thing about, are you wearing the suit, is the suit wearing you, right? I think sometimes when you have a super bold pattern, you're super excited about that, you realize that they're really looking at the pattern and not so much at your face, right? The thing about gray, they're going to say, oh, he looks distinctive, he looks confident, but I'm paying attention to him, right? I'm focusing on what he has to say.
You got it, 100%. Now let's talk about the third and fourth. And so they're really simple. So the building blocks are your navy solid, medium gray solid. The third and fourth should be a stripe. Okay, so let's talk about stripes for a second. So stripes really can be amped up. Like you could have a bold, beautiful pinstripe, right?
I mean, this is a pretty bold.
That's a major pattern in a Glen plaid. So think of a bold stripe, and we get out swatches, and I'll show you as well. But people can picture a bold stripe in there. Yeah. That would not be the best choice when you're building, right? And so you want to have a stripe, but a subtle stripe, something that you maybe can see the stripe at conversations length away, 3 to 5 feet across, like you're doing a deposition, right? And you're across the table from going. But if you walked in from there, it almost blends and looks like a solid, from 5 to 6 feet away. So the stripe should be subtle for the same exact reason that you're building your wardrobe, and so you don't want people going, there's the suit again every time that you wear it. You want to have the flexibility to give it different looks with your different accessories and shoe colors and whatnot. But the fourth and fifth are really simple. Is you want to have a navy and a gray of some sort in a stripe. Now it could be a white pinstripe, it could be a blue stripe, it could be a, any of those are fine. Usually the white pinstripe is pretty classic. It could be a hairline stripe, which means really close together, inch apart. Those are kind of just preferences. But you want to make sure to check the boxes that you have a good navy and a good gray.
What are some circumstances where you think the pinstripe suit shines? Like somewhere like, hey, this is a moment for the pinstripe suit.
Absolutely. So number one would be, again, having that navy, let's say, is again back to the power side of things, right? And so like if you were an attorney, for example, it would be a great opening argument day suit, right? If you were maybe doing a deposition, gray would be a little bit better, I would say, right? And so because gray has those connotations that are a little bit more, like you said, laid back, but confident. And so those are both different ways. But the pinstripes themselves, it depends on how amped up they are, but they're very stylish. The other thing is you have to consider is stripes are sometimes really great for people. For you, you are how tall?
I'm 6'6". That's 2 meters in the metric.
Okay, so 6'6" in a very bold, beautiful stripe is a lot.
It's a lot,
right?
Yeah.
So again, that saying a subtle stripe would be fine. You can wear stripes, but to give you counterbalance to your already, massive height,
size,
Andrew, right? So for someone like myself, who's average height, I'm 5'9.5", for example.
You may not be able to tell by comparison.
I can amp up the stripe a little bit because it helps me. It elongates my look. And below, if you're 5'8" or below, which a lot of men are, 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", that's going to help them. So I will go when I'm consulting with them to maybe amp up the stripe a little bit. And so those are also great things to look out for yourself or to consult with your professional clothier or whatever town that you're working in. Let's see if you can guess what the fifth one is.
The fifth one. See, now I know which one I would pick because it's the one that I have, but I have it and I use it a lot, honestly, and I use it a lot for going out. I use it a lot for when I want to be super formal. And for me, it's the black suit. Because for me, I use that for so many different events when I want to be formal, whether that's, let's say, unfortunately, if I had to go to something like a funeral, but also if I had to go to a gala or something like that. And I could pair that not just with a white shirt, but even with a black shirt, sort of that Jay-Z all black look. It looks really, really good and really sharp. And you can even do it without a tie. So for me, that's what I would pick. You're looking at me, so I'm wondering if I'm wrong.
It's kind of a trick question. So I would say, there is not a right and wrong to building out a wardrobe, right? So there is just like good advice. And what I would tell you, and what I consult with people with, they ask me about a black suit, okay? And I remember when you and I had that conversation. I usually turn it back on them and I get them to try and sell me on why they want a black suit. And the reason being is it depends on your profession. For example, if you were in hospitality, if you work evenings a lot and you were the maitre d' or a sommelier and you had to wear a suit or something like that, a black suit is like a cornerstone basic. As an attorney, right? An attorney, colors have connotations. We talk about power and your navy and grays being your confidence. Black is very formal. And so when you pull that bullet out of your gun, right, that's what you're going for. So if you do have, you're the rainmaker in your firm, for example, and you're doing networking events, you're doing those things, that's gonna be great. Would I wear a black suit to a deposition? If you wanna be Darth Vader in a deposition, maybe, right? So it depends on what you're wanting, but it is always considered to be a formal color. That's what it connotes, right? So that's the punch that you're trying to portray when you're pulling that out of your closet. But it is that it was a trick question. It would not be the fifth suit I would consult with people that are trying to build out their wardrobe. I would say black would be later down the ladder, probably in the 9th or 10th suit in terms of adding. The fifth would be what we're wearing today, and that's why I thought you might see it. And it's more of a royal or a brighter blue, right? And so the brighter blues have is considered your social blues, right? So they're very friendly, they're very rapport.
This is a fun
approachable.
suit.
They're fun.
I love these suits.
Exactly, they look amazing in pictures. And so when you're like in a sea of navies and grays, and you want to stand out a little bit, I think of networking events when I'm going to suit up. I like wearing a little bit more of a royal blue. Public speaking, I tend to go more darker navy. So like it depends on what you're trying to command and what you're trying to do. But those are the power of having really good color rotation. And also if you have this or this, for example, in your wardrobe, and you have a darker navy, which was no one's going to mistake them for wearing the same navy, right? Just like a light gray and a medium gray and a charcoal.
But it's a versatile suit. You could use it for public speaking. Certainly I have. Certainly, it fulfills a similar function. Not exactly the same, but there's a lot of versatility to the suit. It's not just a one-trick pony, and I think that's true for a lot of different types of suits, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing with royal blue is it looks best with brown shoes. You can wear it with burgundy. Black's not so much, but your browns are your best. And there's a myriad of really great, like bright ties, purples and pinks and shirts and things like that just look fantastic for most color tones.
Do you want to talk about, because something that you told me about, which was super fascinating, and I want other people to understand this, because one thing I've struggled with is patterns and kind of the minor, major, minor sort of way of, hey, is this too much? Is this okay? Because for me, look, guys, and I'll tell you guys this, you know this, I've come a long way in my style journey. And in the beginning, I really wouldn't touch stripes. I wouldn't touch patterns. I just stuck to solids because I was afraid of, hey, this pattern is going to be too much. It's going to be too bold. So can you kind of give people a little bit of guidance on what to go with patterns and kind of how to make it stick? Because even right now, you're wearing, a striped shirt and a very vibrant tie, but it works.
Mm-hmm. So I'll teach you a general rule that it's what nature says. And so your eyes, when you go outside and you see colors and patterns and just what nature does, if you stay to these rules, you're going to be right pretty much all the time. Mm-hmm. If you venture outside of those, that's your fashion sensibility one, and it's okay. But if you want to be the fashion director of Barney's, but for an attorney that's a tax accountant, that's probably better to be with what nature says. And the two rules are really simple. Okay, you want to think of your portrait, so people see you in your face, right, for the most part. So you think of your shirt, your tie, and your jacket. Okay, right? So think of it like that. And the rules are really simple. Is you're going to go major, minor, major. Okay, so
major, minor, major.
So a major would be, let's say, a bold window pane like this. That's a major pattern. What I mean by a major is you walk in from, way over there, people are going to see the pattern. There's no question, right? So a shirt that would be best with this would be minor. A solid is a minor. Very subtle stripe, or you could wear a check and a check. Just a little subtle Glen check would be really good with it. So if you're going to wear pattern on pattern, you want to have a difference of scale. Right? So a big bold window pane, maybe a small check, that works because you're going major, minor, you have a difference of scale. Okay? And then if you do put a neckwear or a piece with it, right? In Miami, we look great in ties today, but ties are kind of optional. It's 50% of the days you'll wear them, 50% you might. But when you're going major or minor, then you can't go major in the tie. And so, for example, with this, if this was this is a sport jacket, but if I was to put a tie with this, I'd look for the decoration color, and I'd find a tie of that decoration color. Right. Is my thought. So I'd find a lavender tie, probably with a little bit of a charcoal pip or a stripe or something like that, so it all coordinates together. Would be my first thought. Not that that's the only thing that would go with it, but that is the major, minor, major. So major jacket, minor shirt, and you can go major or minor on the neck.
And let me catch one thing you said, because we were talking about here with this is obviously, a box pattern, window pane pattern. You wouldn't mix patterns, so you wouldn't switch, hey, I'm going to have a striped shirt, right? Because that would be a little bit too much.
No, you definitely can have a stripe. So again, it's having a different scale. So a Glen plaid or a window pane like this with a subtle stripe will work and give counterbalance beautifully. Okay. And so definitely you can. Let's talk about what you're wearing, which is the opposite. Okay, so you have minor as your suit, right? You put major on as your layering piece to the waistcoat or the vest that we made you, and then both minor on the shirt says minor, major, minor, and that works just as well. And and that's probably the easiest for most people to understand that maybe don't want to venture on a pattern. It's also best when you're building your wardrobe is to go minor on your suit pattern, and you can go major on a shirt if you like a Glen check or a plaid or a boulder stripe, and then a solid tie. So that's a minor, major, minor. Now you could also be minor, minor, minor. Okay, so minor, minor, minor. It'd just be just very elegant navy suit, white shirt, dark navy tie.
All solids.
Exactly. I think Leonardo da Vinci said there's beauty in simplicity, right? And that's nothing says it better than that monochromatic look that you would see just like that. Or you mentioned your black suit, just having a black suit, very elegant white shirt, and a black tie.
And so, you're definitely right about ties. Look, guys, here in Florida, and you guys see me when I'm recording now, a lot of times I'm without a tie because it is summer, it is really, really hot, and it's not standard. Attorneys here typically don't even wear ties in the office because it is so hot. But can you talk a little bit about what you look for when you're buying a tie in terms of material, in terms of length, some things that people should look for when they're selecting a tie?
Yeah, so some of it will be knowing your body type, number one. And so in selecting the tie itself, if you're going to tie the four-in-hand knot, which is what I have on, which is
what I have as well.
The simplest knot, I call it the schoolboy knot or the skinniest one. It's easiest to tie the dimple. That's going to look great on pretty much with people that are a little bit thinner in their structure and facial structures, or what have you. And so for a necktie, you can wear, or silk, pretty much almost all ties are made in silk, but the width of the tie is important to the body type, right? And so for someone of, let's say, our stature, that is, got a broader shoulders and they come in the waist, they don't go out in the waist, let's say. Then the width is no more than 3 1/4 inches at the widest, but 2 3/4 best. So it can vary between that 2 3/4. And what I mean by the width of the tie is from here to here. So
Okay,
that's
so
how they tell the
length.
length. But in style today, being more modern, the skinny tie they call it sometimes, or thinner ties, that's 2 3/4. This is 3, and then 3 1/4 would be slightly bigger. You could be right in any of those. That's not wrong or right. But when you get things that are outside that, your body type should be maybe bigger, right? So it's proportional, or that might date your ties a little bit too.
Right, if they're a wider tie.
Yeah, a wider tie, and you're, let's say my size.
But if you stick within those proportions, you're kind of timeless, right? Because I think a lot of times when I'm talking to people, when I suggest things, I'm saying, hey, look into stuff that's going to be relatively timeless, that you're going to be comfortable wearing, not just now, but 10 years from now, right? Because if you get a good suit and you maintain it, you take care of it, there's no reason that I can't wear this suit 10 years from now. Provided I don't blimp up, which is not going to happen, guys.
I'm good at, some people say, spending other people's money, but I give them really good advice when I do. And I give this advice when we're sitting down doing a wedding appointment, for example, is think of when you're investing in your wardrobe, and they are your pieces that you're building in. Think of your pictures in 20 years.
Yes.
And I'll give you an example. If you think of John F. Kennedy.
Yes.
Okay, he looks great today, just like he did back in the 50s, right? And in the 60s. So if, everybody has that crazy picture of their Uncle Ted in a blue tuxedo, you think of Dumb and Dumber, right? That was the coolest fashion of that time, right?
Right.
But in 20 years, it might not be. And so when you're investing in good quality pieces, let's say you're having a suit made for yourself, and you don't have 12 suits in your wardrobe. That's a different guy that has a healthy wardrobe that I'm designing or styling for than what you're building those classic basics, right? And so what you're saying, being in the middle of the fairway and staying classic, but really nice pieces is definitely going to serve you well.
Yeah, and I talk to a lot of people, sometimes people think, oh, well, getting nice stuff clashes with concepts of minimalism. I'll sometimes talk about, people are going to travel, move around. I deal with a lot of people who are maybe like digital nomads, people who are entrepreneurs who are moving around. I say, look, if you're able to invest in a quality piece, that's going to be able to stay with you. And that's much more efficient than you getting a bunch of, cheaper suits or $300 suits that are not going to last very long, or they're just in for the trend and they're out, right? They're just in for a season and they're out. And like you said, if you're somebody who's got 12 suits or you really love suits, right, that's your thing, then sure, more power to you. But if you're a guy who says, look, I really want like 3 or 4 suits and I think I'm going to be good for a long time, these are good things to kind of rely on.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk a little bit just for a second. I want to hit on footwear and what types of shoes, because we've got some beautiful shoes here. Would you recommend, when people are looking for shoes to pair it with, the loafer, because it's kind of a utility shoe?
Well, so all loafers are not created equal. One, I would say, and it depends on what you're trying to do with it. So in general, I would tell you this, is lace-ups for suits. Okay, loafers, certain styles of loafers like this one can be suit appropriate and also sport jacket appropriate, but some are not appropriate for suits, right? And so the loafer style really is somewhat, and sometimes that's hard to find out if you're shopping online or just don't know. And this is where you want to ask a professional clothier, right? Like and have them give you good suggestions. But in general, what I would tell you is when you're building a wardrobe of shoes, there's basics and cornerstones, and they're fairly simple what they are. The very first one I would say would be a dark brown lace-up shoe. Okay, a dark brown lace-up shoe can go across the board. Pretty much you can wear it with anything except for black. You can wear it gray, you can wear it navy, you can wear it with royal blue, like we're talking about, olives, earth tones, passion colors. Like there's nothing it doesn't go with in terms of a suit. The second would be a chili color. A chili color would be that little bit of a lighter brown, let's call it in a general class, right? Same thing, it's gonna go with everything except for black. And so you could alternate those. The third would be a black dressy shoe, right? And so if you're trying to maximize your wardrobe, what I would tell you is a black plain toe, which means there's no line, no perforation, just a really beautiful plain toe, because then you can wear it with your tuxedo if you like, as long as it's plain, because formal shoes have nothing.
So if you were traveling and you could only pack 4 pairs of shoes, you're saying those would be up to the 4.
Well, not quite, because then you have loafers.
That's true. You snuck it.
So that's the lace-ups, right?
Okay,
so you have, if you're checking off the boxes, so what to get next would be a dark brown, a medium brown, and a black lace-up of your choice. You pick the styles that you like. The loafers is think of that in the same exact colors. Now, you're gonna have a black loafer, a dark brown loafer, and a lighter brown loafer. But the loafers, if you're wearing suits more, then the style should be suit and you can wear them with sport clothes. If you're wearing sport jackets more, then there's a different style of loafer that you would have. So all of those, style does change too. So there's not like set rules because they do change from time to time. And again, this is back to, working with someone in the industry that would be able to give you good guidance. There's not like black and white rules or what's right today might change in 3 or 4 years. But you definitely know whenever it's wrong.
You can look at it. It's a smell test, right? You look at it and you're like, that's definitely, it doesn't work. Like
a driving mock is not what you're going to wear with
You're not going to wear your Sperry's with your suit, right?
Yeah,
It just doesn't work. Sorry, guys.
And let's talk about the tennis shoe look with suits. I think it's evident now because you're seeing, you watch newscasts or, you follow football or whatever. You're seeing a lot of guys wearing tennis shoes with suits. It's kind of interesting.
And there's a context for that, right?
Yes. And so the thing is, I would not put Andrew in this suit, which is a dressy suit. This is a dress suit. There are certain suits that we style that way. There's more casual suitings like cottons or linens or wools and how they design it to make that look more casual from the buttons and the silhouettes and things like that. Maybe put a t-shirt on there. So there are casual suits for that. That's not what we were talking about today. It's more your professional wear for the most part.
Yeah, and you ask for, when you're talking to somebody, when you get this made, you say, hey, look, I wanted this to be multi-purpose. I want to be able to maybe make it a little dressier, but also be able to wear this with tennis shoes, right? And they'll look at that construction. So you said, what type of constructions might benefit a more casual look?
So cotton, for example, cotton suit. We're making you a linen suit fairly shortly.
I'm really excited about that because it gets really hot and really, if you're traveling, and I'm going to be a lot of hot places, you need a suit that breathes well, right? Because I'm not going to go out in my black suit. I actually did that in Vegas. It was really miserable. But you're not going to want to go out in your black suit when it's 110 degrees.
And there's a lot of stretch performance fabrics now in the marketplace that they're making for the more casual, kind of suit look or so. We were talking about color connotations.
Yes.
Remember, we were talking about gray being your confidence color, navy being your power color. One category we didn't cover was earth tones. And so let's circle back to that. And then also we talked about just the first 5, not 6 through 10, right? Because as you're building, so we'll cover those 2 points too. So one category we didn't talk about is earth tones. And when are earth tones appropriate? Earth tones, first to define what they are, they're going to be your tans, your olives, your browns, and suitings. The most popular one would be probably a tan summer suit. Very nice to have as like a khaki summer suit. And khaki, the right shade of khaki depends on your skin undertone.
Right.
And we won't unveil that ball of wax in a second. It's a whole nother conversation. But having the right shade of tan, whether you're a warm or cool or you're neutral, is very paramount. But tan itself or earth tones have a certain connotation. So what do you think of when let's say you're just looking at me in a tan summer suit? What do you think of right off the bat?
I mean, when you say earth tones, I think of immediately the phrase down to earth, right? I think very relaxed guy, very calm, somebody who I can, talk with, that I can grab a drink with, perhaps at the bar here,
Perfect answer. So as an attorney, when would you say you would be or just when would you wear a tan?
I would wear a tan suit if I'm trying to close the deal, if I'm trying to get things done, if I'm trying to say, hey, we're amiable, we're friends, this is a friendly negotiation, this is not a deposition, this is not hostile, right? We're trying to close the deal, we're trying to shake hands, we're trying to build that hotel, build that bridge, we're trying to just get it done. I'm wearing the tan suit.
Okay, so tans in general are your rapport colors. I mean, that's what people think. You said a couple adjectives, which I totally agree with, which is casual, more sporty. So think of this, if you have to be in a suit, that's just your profession or your thing and what you do, but maybe you're calling on a variety of different people, right? So when I think of like how to get dressed in the morning, personally, I think of who am I seeing or what am I doing for the day, right? That's what you look at your calendar and say, okay, am I seeing somebody new? Am I seeing a client I've known for a long period of time, have this pre-existing relationship with, and you tend to dress for those or whatever events you have. So tan is really good if you're calling on people where they are maybe more casual, but you need to be in a suit. It puts them at ease, right? Tans are really good for firing people.
Really?
Yes.
Now, that's interesting. I've not heard. So why is tan good for firing people? Because it's relaxing?
It's relaxing. It's calming. It's friendly.
It's like, hey, it's going to be all right, You're not with us. This isn't working out, me and you, but it's not about you. It's about me. I just have my needs to, make profit. So I'm going to cut you as an employee.
So tan has those more casual connotations. So think of it like a good change of pace too. People are, Monday through Thursday, see you in a navy and a gray, and Friday you come in, Friday's a little more casual day, that you're in a tan suit and a linen blue shirt, open collar. It's nice, right? It's a good change of pace.
And you don't want to look too much like safari-esque, if you're going full tan.
And you could say that about olives and browns too. And
Yes.
it all depends on how you accessorize them. You may look dressy with proper neckwear and then kind of a little more casual.
And that's something I would say getting a professional really helps with, especially for like me. When he's talking about earth tones, I say, look, I'm going to trust you on this when you're telling me these things go together. But as you gain more confidence, as you go and get those pieces, you wear them, you go, oh, this looks great, right? And then you'll expand, you'll experiment, you'll test it with different shirts, different things, and you'll expand what your taste is. You might really love earth tones, right? But you might also look at it and be like, hey, earth tones, not the biggest for me. I like the blues a lot better, right? So you'll figure that out.
So 1 through 5, navy solid,
Yep.
gray solid, medium gray,
Yep.
a stripe and a navy and a gray.
Yep.
5th was a royal blue.
Yes.
So when to add those earth tones, and you mentioned black, I said we should add black, but a little bit further down
6,
the road.
7, 8, 9, yeah.
Yeah, so in that filler spot in between should be one earth tone. You pick, but again, that would be probably 9 or 10. But in between there are still in the navy and the gray categories. It could be different shades, but then you would hit Glen plaids, window panes, and still on the subtle. When you're below 10 in your rotation, right, is you want to be on the subtler side of patterns and leave the more expressive things for sport jackets.
Right.
But your suitings themselves, once you get past like that 10 mark where you're like, okay, I got 10 working, people are seeing me. Because think of it like this, even your peers, if you're working in an office with people, you're giving them different looks, right? And same thing with your clients and everything else. You have enough when you're getting dressed in the morning where you're not like, feeling stale, feeling old yourself. And then the people that see you on a daily basis also feel like you look fresh and whatnot. So once you get past that, then you could add more expressive suits.
Exactly. And do you want to catch, because we're talking about expressive suits, exactly. Do you want to talk about just real quick the when you're going to go for a sport jacket versus a suit, right? Because I think some people, they might get even more utility out of a sport jacket than a suit.
Yeah, and so suits are going to tend to be a little bit more formal, and that really depends on what you do. And some guys, they might just need one suit and the rest sport coats. We see that probably a little bit more often in Miami, even for the professional crowd too. So some of it does depend on where you're at. If you're in New York, things are a little bit more formal. It's probably not as much, right? And so some of that depends on your culture in your office and kind of what the leadership says on the way. If you work for the U.S. government, for example, Washington D.C., you're probably not going to be wearing.
If you're an entrepreneur, I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs. I think a sport coat, very fun, very business oriented, looks good.
I always say this: a woman's best accessory is a well-dressed man. Right?
Oh, I like that one.
You like that? But a well-dressed man has just sport coats become like neckwear, right? You have a variety. And you should have a variety. You're going to have your basics like a navy blazer that you love and you should definitely have. But that's where you want to express your style sensibility. That's where you get to have a little bit of fun. Like you need to have your navy and your gray. When you get to sport coats, you could have a lot more fun because they can go with jeans. You could pair them with dress pants. You could put them with ties. You can wear them to events. You could wear them to the office depending upon your culture. Most days more so than formal. But there are some places where a suit is better than a sport coat, especially for business on what you're doing. Like if you're presenting, right? I'm probably not going to present in a sport coat. You're going to be in a suit. If you're publicly speaking, if you're getting your picture taken formally for your brochure of your whatever you do for business, you want to be in a suit.
But with a sport coat, and the thing that really shines, especially for a lot of guys who are younger, let's say you're in your late 20s, early 30s, especially if you're going out, it never hurts. Like I say, I've never had an issue being the person who's the best dressed at an event, the best dressed at a venue, the best dressed at anything else. And one easy way to do that and just kind of set yourself apart, but not go so far as to strap on a suit, is throw on a sport coat, right? If you're going out to a very nice dinner, you're going out to an event, you're going out to a show. I was in Vegas, when we went to a show, a comedy show, I threw on the sport coat, right? Because it worked really well and kind of set myself a little bit apart.
Little secret to the gentleman out there. No one gets up in the morning and aspires to wear polo shirts and khakis. Like it's just like comfortable clothes.
They're comfortable, yeah.
Right? There's nice polos and nice khakis. I get it. Like there's really cool ones or whatnot. Yes. But a man simply looks his best in a suit. Until we start wearing Star Trek uniforms and they invent that else. The physique itself, broad shoulders, thin waistline, the silhouette of a garment. Yes, picks out the best of what you're trying to express in the man's body. And so we will never look better than we do in a jacket. Yes, it expresses our physique the best. Just like women have curves, men have broad shoulders, and depending on where your waistline is. But whatever, a jacket will accentuate what you want to accentuate and help decentuate the things that you might want to decentuate, especially if you have a little bit more in the Miller Lite area. And things like that happen over time and age.
Yeah, inevitably. Although you can't fight that, guys. So do resist that.
A jacket will always make you look your best.
Got it. And I think that's really an important part. So I think we'll wrap up this segment on Christian on suits, but I think, guys, this should give you a good basis, a solid basis to start building your formal wardrobe. And like I said, there's so many uses for this, and you're going to get so much value with this. So Christian, thank you so much for presenting on this. And
absolutely. If you don't mind, if you do want to check us out, so we have our flagship store in Miami, but just go to jacksonmaximus.com. It's Jaxson, Maximus.com, and you'll find tons of information on there. Lots of you can join our blog. There's all the things we're talking about too. There's great content on our website and in our social media posts.
And Jaxson Maximus has, like I said, on their website has lots of products that no matter where you are, even if you're abroad, that you can look at, you can order, you can check in on. And Christian is an expert, is an absolute expert in the industry. So he's done a lot of consultations for folks, and he can definitely help point you in the right direction. Awesome. So appreciate it.
All right, man.
Take care, guys.